Hi everyone, welcome to our webinar today. I'm Jodi Barrows with The Square in a Square, and I have two great friends and great teachers with me. I have Kay Roberts and Kathy Corella, both from the Nashville area in Tennessee, and we have been filming and getting ready for Quilt Club Week. So we wanted to do a little bit of a demo today so that you can kind of see what Quilt Club Week is all about. If you think about going to a quilt show, what do you see, what do you do, and what can you participate in? So first of all, you can walk around on the show floor, and as you're walking around seeing the different vendors and booths, they're doing different demos in their booth. So during Quilt Club Week, we will have short little demos. We're going to show you a couple today that we either will be doing or have done in the past. And then also at a quilt show, you can go and take a class where you go and sit down and either learn techniques or work on a big quilt or a big project. And you can do that with piecing, you can do it with applique, you can do it with wool, applique, machine quilting, and just all types of tips and hints to increase your skills and your knowledge and your ability. And that's what we're all about with the Square and Square. It's about the education and helping you become the piecer that you've always dreamed about being. So let's start out with, okay, one more thing before we get into showing stuff. So you can, Quilt Club Week is in the fall each year. This year it is the last week of September. So it's all online. You get to do it in the comfort of your home. And after the week is, during that week you'll have pre-recorded stuff like we've been doing this week. And then you also have live sessions that we do during the week. We have a couple of days before where we do some live stuff to kind of let everybody know that we're getting going, and it's time to sign up if you haven't signed up. But if you go to our website, squareandasquare.com, and you sign up now for Quilt Club Week, then you can go ahead and watch 2020, 2021, 2022, and then be ready for our brand new one of 2023.
It's at the top of the page in a banner.
Yes, if you go to the website, it's up at the very top of the page. It's a banner that turns, so if you don't see it right away, just wait for it to rotate and come back around, and you'll see it, and you can go in there and sign up for it. So we've got our backstage people helping us to remember everything that we're doing, and
he's making all kinds of signs. I'm like
trying to do some sign language, and I'm kind of like, okay, what do you say?
Just say
it.
it.
Yeah, to me. Yeah. So go in and sign up for Quilt Club Week now. You can start watching stuff over and over. And you know, one thing is that if you go to like a quilt show and you sign up and take a class, you're either working on a machine that they provided that you don't know and understand, or you have to haul all of your stuff and trying to find a class, and you know, and you maybe signed up 6 months ago, but now your life has gotten crazy, or maybe you're a little under the weather, and it's not the perfect day to take that class and to soak up and get,
and all that money you spent and all that travel and everything is,
and you're there for
not
3
a good
hours.
Experience.
Right, you're there only for the 3 or 6 hours, and that's it.
And when
you don't have any videos to go back home to see what
over
happened.
and over again.
Yeah. And we all know that you go home and get right on that.
Oh yeah,
don't we?
6 months later, why did I do this?
I've gotten stuff from people 6 and 10 years later can you tell me what I was doing? You know. So the cool thing about it being videoed is that you can go back in and watch it over and over again. You can back it up. You can say, okay, now how did she do that? How did she say that? You know, okay, this is what we're doing, and so you can really get that information poured into your head. The other thing about going to like a quilt show for a week is you're kind of just bombarded with everything.
Overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Very overwhelmed with everything.
And my thing with a quilt show is that I always get so excited seeing everything, and I want to start doing it.
Right.
But I have to wait till I get home.
Right.
And then my excitement is kind of
down.
And life has fallen in. And so it's kind of like, okay, now what was I so excited about? Well, how can I get that back?
Why did I buy this there?
Yeah.
You know, because the demonstrator was very good.
And you don't remember how she did it.
So I love it that you have the videos that you're able to go back to and watch over and over again, so that you can really pick up and learn those skills and get that knowledge and that education. So we, of course, do everything with the Square in a Square for all of our piecing, for all of our different triangle shapes. But we also do what we call the science of patchwork, and that's just some other techniques and just little tips and hints that just help up your game. The human element in putting a quilt together is the cutting and the sewing and the pressing.
Right.
And so that's where we lose our perfection
Right.
or we try to get our perfection. And so many times we get our little pieces all sewn together and they don't look the way they
Right.
want them to. And so we're already trying to figure out how can I fix the problem.
Right.
But with the square in a square and the different techniques that we teach, your work is good as it goes along. So when you start trying to put all your pieces together,
They go together.
they go together. And that's so exciting.
It
I
is
love that.
exciting, yes.
That's my
Yes.
favorite part of putting a quilt together is when you actually have little units and sections made and you start putting them together and they match up so clean and
They
nice
fit.
and neat. We
Yes.
have no dog ears. We
No.
have no
No.
funky edges and,
Nope.
and things.
they-
We're not trying to square up blocks and,
Right.
and all that kind of stuff. So if you haven't watched our video that we did on Saturday last week, so like 4 or 5 days ago, go in and watch it. It's about an hour and a half, and we demo a lot, and we launched or told you about our brand new book of the Firefly. So to get the in-depth teaching of this, go back to that video and watch it. I am going to show you a little bit of it today. So a couple of things that Kay has got planned for Quilt Club Week is, do you want to show us or tell
I am,
us?
and I'm excited for you all. I've just decided this year you could use some little simple projects. This is like a 3-drawer carrier. So when you're going to retreat or you're going to classes, you can just take this. It's got a little button at the top, and then you have your drawers in here that you can fill up with all your necessary items, and it's all in one place. And when you're sitting there, you just open up your drawer and it's there. You don't have it in little bags or stuff somewhere. So
Right.
that's,
And I like your cute little pocket.
yep, and there's
You
a
can
little
put your-
pocket
So you don't always have to put your rotary cutter away
away.
Now,
with scissors or
when
whatever.
we were filming this and you were showing how to do all of this, it made me think about two things. I thought about the casserole carriers that we
Right.
all had
Yeah.
back
Right.
years
Back in the
ago.
day, yeah.
Back in
Yeah.
the day. But the other thing, when you were talking about, oh, you can put your scissors, your rotary cutter, I'm thinking a bag of M&Ms.
Bag of M&Ms, yes.
All the
Fit
important
perfect right
things.
down
Yes.
in there. Your
Yes,
bag
and
of
you could
M&Ms.
have one drawer for
Your backup,
for your
or-
for
your
backup.
M&Ms. You
Yes.
can put your millionaires, your turtles in
Yes,
there. Put
yes.
your M&Ms in there.
That's right. That's right.
So perfect size to put a bag of M&Ms
Yeah,
down in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you'll be teaching that
So
at
I'll
Quilt
be
Club
teaching
Week.
that. Very
That's
simple
great.
to do. You know, nothing real difficult about it.
And pretty much just go to your stash, pull out some
Pull out
cute,
what-
yeah, whether you love the big, beautiful florals or some of the cute little novelty prints, whatever.
You know, whatever
Yeah.
you know, I pulled this out just because
It was ready.
I had the fabric, and what do you do with these little
License plates.
license
yeah.
plates that we had years ago?
Oh, that was, yeah.
You know, and
Well-
so I thought that's a good thing to
Yeah.
use.
And the other thing is when you go to a retreat, I like it that I can, if this is something that I have on my sewing area,
Uh-huh.
and I know it has everything in it, and I know where it is, I can just pick it up and take it.
Right.
Right.
But if I take it without the carrier,
Right.
I'm going to fuss
drawers
with
Here,
my,
something's there.
my
yeah.
drawers,
Where's this? Where's
you know.
that?
Yeah.
And so this is nice to have this on, and
Be able to
you
carry.
made it really snug, so
Yes,
it doesn't
you've got
fall
it
out.
snug so it doesn't
It's
fall
gotta
out.
it's got to be the girdle.
Got to be a girdle on
Gotta
there. So yes.
Put your Spanx on and
Yep.
Yep.
and do it.
And
So
go
that's
for
really cute. So I love that. That's going to be a great, quick little
Yep.
little class to do. So you can see how we have little mini classes that are just cute little things, and then we have more in depth where we teach the whole quilt. So no matter, to me, I feel like no matter what you're interested in,
We
you're
have a
gonna-
little
you're
bit of
gonna have
everything
for
something
everybody.
that
Yeah.
you're
Right.
gonna- that you're
Yeah.
gonna like.
Right.
Do you have
right.
another item you want to show
Well,
us?
I do. We have, everybody likes to kind of do pillowcases, for charity or whatever. But we're teaching you how to do a burrito pillowcase and a French seam. So if you've never done a French seam, we'll explain to you how the French seam is done and the reason we do a French seam. So there's no raw edges in your pillowcase. So
And-
it's nice and sturdy.
in the video teaching, you were talking about how really professional garments and
Right.
well-made things have a French seam. You have no raw edges. And when I went to my closet after the video, I started looking at it. I'm like, she's right there. No.
Yeah, your higher end garments, it
Yeah.
has the French seams on them, so you know, silks and things
something
like
that
that.
I love about pillowcases is they're quick to do.
Mm-hmm.
You can use fabrics that you maybe normally don't use, so it's just fun to be able to use a different
yeah,
print
yeah.
and
It
a
is.
different
Yeah.
fabric. And I
It's-
love the way the pillowcases use different.
Yeah. Different fabrics, different types of fabrics you normally wouldn't use. A
Yeah.
stripe, a floral, and
Geometric,
Geometric.
yeah.
So yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so
That's
that's
cute.
just another thing that, you know, we'll teach you how to do a burrito pillowcase.
And I had
Super
heard
easy.
of a burrito pillowcase, but I had never made one or seen a demo for it.
Okay.
I'd just been kind of making them
Right.
on my own, figuring it out. But when I saw how you did it, I was like, that is really cool. And the way that you do the seams and the placement of them, I really like, because some of the problems I had with pillowcases, maybe not necessarily in the making, but then later as you're using them,
Right.
how that little flap
Flap wants to come up.
Yeah.
I don't want to press a pillowcase, but it
No.
doesn't look good if you
If it's-
didn't,
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
Right.
And this helps eliminate those.
Right.
Yeah, that
So-
one little trick that you had
Little
that I
trick.
didn't know about. And I
Yeah,
went,
you didn't know,
"Oh,
Kathy. I
okay."
taught her
Yeah.
So
something.
even the trick is
Even
worth
the teachers
money.
are learning. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
And
yeah.
if you have young people that you're wanting to teach to sew, or maybe you've got kids, grandkids, or
They love the pillowcases.
Yeah,
The grandkids
camp.
love them for every
Yeah.
season. It's like, okay, Grammy,
Yeah.
what can give
Yeah.
me a pillowcase, Gram? So
And one year I was helping at a church camp, and we had like 80 kids, boys and girls, and you don't get them for very long.
right.
And so they were like, why don't you teach them some sewing? I'm like, how am I going to teach 80 junior
Yeah,
high
really.
kids? And I only get them for about 45 minutes.
Yeah.
What can we do, and
We
how
do.
can we finish a project? So I did do some prep stuff, and I had several other ladies helping, but like every 45 minutes we had a new group
wow.
Wow.
of 10, you know.
That's a lot.
And they got pillowcases, and I tell you, those boys, it was almost like the boys did better than
Better
the
than
girls.
the girls.
Yeah.
And you know, one boy, he was sewing, but his seam was not going very straight, and he was like, "Oh, okay, you know, I've got to."
Yeah, I've
I
got to
gotta
straighten
straighten
it
this
out.
out,
yeah.
yeah.
But he was so busy looking at the machine and how it worked. And what does this do? You know. So it really was a fun.
It is a fun experience.
and so great
Yes,
to do with
it
kids.
is. It is. It is.
And the other thing is that people who do quilts that they send into quilt shows, you're supposed to send them in a pillowcase.
Right.
So I was thinking while we were doing the
Right.
filming, how cool it would be to make a pillowcase that coordinates with
Right.
your quilt. You could even, if you like to do the embroidery, or
put
have the
that on
embroidery
there.
machines, so your name, address,
Mm-hmm.
phone number, text, name of the quilt, you know, all of that information on
Right,
there.
right.
So-
Or your leftover pieces when you're doing a quilt, go ahead and make a pillowcase right then and there, and you have your pillowcases done. So
Yeah, and the
you can
pillowcase
put it
to
on
match
your
the
bed
quilt.
and
that
have
way
it.
they won't lose your pillowcase.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And-
won't lose your quilt. Yeah,
know,
store them in the
We don't
pillowcases.
really do that fold at the top of a bed with your pillows
Right,
anymore.
right,
you know?
right.
We have all the big pillows on the bed, and then if you have the pillowcase that matches,
Just
Yeah.
then,
Then it's
it
just
looks like
yeah,
the
and
same.
it looks pretty.
Looks
and
nice.
you don't always have to make a sham. People are
Right.
like, oh, I don't, a
Yeah.
pillow sham. That's more work. That's more whatever.
right.
Yeah.
But just a pillowcase is nice
Yeah.
to
Yes.
match and
Yeah.
go with.
Yeah.
So are those the only two you have? That
Well,
you're
no,
gonna
I
show
have
us?
another one.
Okay.
I have
this
another
is
one.
This is a 10-minute
Minute.
table runner.
Right.
It is amazing.
So what it is, it's kind of a self-binding runner.
Mm-hmm.
The back, we will tell you what measurements to cut. Your back is cut wider,
So you're
back,
and you just flip it
and
over.
and it comes over to the front. Yep, let me pull this up. Yep, there we go. The back comes up over to the front. We're sewing it to our front main piece. This can be quilted, and then you can either have a flat seam. If I wanted to, I could just turn that under and have a nice square
Straight edge.
rectangle, or I can sew the two right sides together, or the two wrong sides together, and then turn it, and you have a little point.
And you know, it's not hard to make a table runner to where it comes pointed on the end.
No.
But beginners are like,
Yeah.
how do
They're
we
like,
how
oh my
do
goodness,
we
how
get
do
that?
I do this?
Yeah.
And that makes a nice little point. And if you did that on each end,
There's
So-
no binding or anything.
There's
You
no
just pull it
binding,
over the
it's
front.
just-
It's 10 minutes.
So once again, this would be great for kids to do.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
my,
yeah.
my grandkids come and they always
It would be.
want to. They make some little things for themselves, but they're like, oh, I want to make something for my teacher, or
Right.
I want to make something for my
Right,
mom, or
right.
something. This is something that my grandkids are old enough to do,
Mhm.
and then they could take it home and have something, and they're just so
Yeah.
proud to see it
Yeah.
at the
Yeah,
house,
yeah.
you know, and that to see their mom or dad using it. So
Right.
Mother's Day's coming up.
So
Yeah,
yeah.
great.
So it'd be,
Yeah.
but we'll be showing you how to do that also.
Mhm.
And there's a few other ones that we did that you'll just have to watch and see.
Yeah,
You'll
yeah.
have to
Have to
come
join
join
and-
us.
kind of
Yeah.
want to give you
and
just
see.
a little bit of a
Preview.
tip.
Mhm.
Well, before Kathy tells us some stuff, let's look at, I think it's always nice, you know, you can hear us talk and chat away about whatever, but it's nice when you can actually see what other people, you know, have
Have to say
sent
about
us
you.
on text and emails and stuff. And this one says, Jodi, I just love you to pieces. You gave a quilter the confidence and courage to tackle the hardest quilts with so much knowledge and bravery. I'm so grateful for you to come into my quilt life. I have all the rulers, the reference books, and now I'm adding the Firefly book to my collection of wisdom. I love that.
Mhm.
I just want to say thank you for giving me the square eyes. And the square eyes are what we talk about, that when you start looking at quilts, you can see the square and a square options. And then
Breaking it down.
it becomes
It's
so
just
easy.
easy.
Yeah. To make such beautiful quilts. God bless you always, and thank you. And then this one, she just says, I came across Jodi and Steve almost 3 years ago, just as I was about to give up on my self-taught quilting journey. And that just breaks my
yeah.
heart about to give
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
But you know, that's where I was at too, back 40
Right.
years ago, before I did the square and a square. I was an accomplished seamstress. I had made everything, but I was ready to start doing quilts. And all of these little pieces coming together,
Yeah.
I was not getting the speed and the accuracy
See
that I
you
wanted. I did professional garments. I could do a bound buttonhole. I could line a garment. I could make my own clothing patterns. I could do
Yeah.
anything I wanted to do. But when
But
it came to
putting-
putting all these little pieces together, I just really struggled. And I started looking at quilts and saying, oh, those are too small, or oh, there are too many triangles, or,
Right.
you know, thinking that I can't do that. Either number one, I didn't have the skill, or I didn't have the knowledge.
Right.
Which is so sad. So she was about to give up. I understand I was about to give up. I watched a video similar to this with the original book, with the reference book, and wow, my confidence grew. My pieces fitted together so
Yes.
easily. I love my hobby now, so much so that I've made about 10 quilts. It's so easy, and Jodi and Steve are always on hand to help. So for those of you that are new to us, Steve is my husband, a retired pharmacist, and he does all of our IT and logistics on shipping and everything. And he cooks
He
breakfast.
does. He cooks breakfast. He
breakfast,
bakes
my
me my
lunch.
coffee. He
He
does
brings us
lunch.
coffee.
I
Yeah.
mean, there's nothing that Steve can't do.
No, and he's always
He is
happy
a
to do it
sweetheart.
with a smile on his
He is.
face. So
Yes.
thank you, Steve.
Yes.
And then this one says, Jodi, I bought the ruler a couple of weeks ago, and this just came in March, and decided to get out some scraps and just do it. She was like, I'm just going to get some scraps out. I'm going to start playing around.
That's how
I'm
you have
gonna
to do it.
Yeah. My first one turned out perfect.
Oh, good.
And to the exact size I wanted. I
Wow.
couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I feel so accomplished and want to thank you for the great products and videos. Feels like I'm at the start of a fun and interesting journey.
Well,
I
yes.
love that.
That's
I love
great.
it, love it,
That's
love it.
great.
So
Yes,
just,
it is.
I mean, I've got stacks of papers over here
Yes, you
that,
do.
you know,
Yeah, you
say
do.
basically the same thing
Yeah,
from
It
other
is.
people.
You just have to start, and don't be afraid.
Yeah.
If it doesn't come out exactly right the
Just
first
try
time,
it
just
again.
keep
Try it
going.
Watch more videos. There's
Yeah.
tons of
Yeah.
videos.
I mean,
And we have the Quilt Text Hotline. That number is
Oh, yes, that's it.
817
Yeah.
713-2879. And you can text a picture, you can ask a question, anything that you need help with. We can help direct you to a video. I'll make a new video. Sometimes I'll make 2 or 3 quick little 45-second videos to show you what you're doing, what you need to be doing, or this is how you do it. This is your main reference book here. I'll say go to page 34 or go to page 29 or whatever. Here's what you need to get started on what you're doing. And something that we're going to show today is actually some questions that people asked from our video that we did the other day. But before we get into some of this, Kathy, I want you to tell us about Quilt Club Week. You are a machine quilter. You use your regular sewing domestic
Mhm.
machine,
Mhm.
and you do all of this beautiful, beautiful quilting on these quilts.
Well, thank you.
And you are teaching others in our Premium Club
I
and
do.
our Quilt Club Week how they can do it too.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, for the past several years, 20, 21, 22, 23, 22, I have videos starting out about how to machine quilt and different classes on it and stuff. But this coming
Different topics.
and this year I'm going to be working on several of them. I'm doing a session on backgrounds. Everything's just backgrounds and how to do a background this way and how to do a background. And I have the cutest little quilt that I use to show it. So it's really pleasing. I think
sounds
everybody will
exciting,
really
yeah.
enjoy it. And then I work on a borders one, which is this one right here. And I go through from beginning to end on how I quilted. And I always start in the middle and I talk about and show you how to mark these in here and how to mark these up here. And Jodi this was taught in the borders class, I believe.
Yes,
And
in Premium Club we do a fall semester and a spring semester. And last year our spring semester that went from January to the basically to Mother's Day is kind of when we do it. Our topic was learning the options and learning how to do them in borders. So this one was done all in borders.
So I talk about how much time and effort I want to put into it. Jodi's the type of quilter that doesn't want a lot in her work, so I had that in mind that I was going to do some, but I wasn't going to make it really extravagant and stuff. So that's all the things that I talk about. I show you how to mark this when I'm working with this, how to go from here to here without stopping and starting getting all of those done. Same thing, I did some straight line quilting because I didn't want to put a lot of quilting
I love
in
straight
it,
line.
things like that. Yeah, so it turned out really nice. So we'll talk about this whole thing, and I can't remember how long the video is, but it's in detail. It's
Several
very detailed
hours.
and stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it will
And
be a
this
fun thing.
one had some texture.
Yes, this one has embroidered piece on it, and so I talk about doing embroidery work. In fact, I think there's two of them. I did the embroidery
Right.
work on that other borders.
Right.
Quilt.
It was a Christmas one.
Yes, it was a Christmas one, and that one was a little bit of a challenge because it was a little bit more puffy, and I show you how to
Right.
take care of it so you don't get puckers and tucks in it
Pleats
when
and
you're
stuff, yeah.
Because I had
quilting
quilted
on
the all around it and
Yes.
left that middle
Center.
just for me, didn't you?
empty. Yes,
Yes,
just for
Instead
just
you.
of
for
starting
me.
in the center and working.
Yes,
out.
instead
Yes,
starting-
because she's on a long arm, whereas
Yes.
I'm on a domestic and I work from the center out, and she works wherever
Where
she
I
works.
start at the top and
That's right,
work
you
my
do
way
start
down.
Yes.
Way down.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
So yeah.
So in the quilt world, years ago when the wool felt stuff first started coming out, they were just smaller pieces that were kind of decorative, or they hung on the wall, or they were a pillow. But over the last few years, the wool felt applique has become so popular that it's actually mixing it in with your cotton fabrics and making big quilts with it. So it's a new challenge in the quilting world
Right.
of how to quilt your quilt when you have multiple textures. So we have our regular cotton fabric and our piecing. We have our wool applique that we did, and then we have some embroidery. And of course, with your embroidery, you have little stitches, so you could have little loops, so you've got to think about not just going over the top
Right.
of everything and distorting it or covering it up.
Yeah, I
or
don't want to
whatever.
mess up the beautiful embroidery part of it. So I talk about that also.
And
Here's
we-
a comment on the screen.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Kathy, please teach us more of those fast border motifs, like the one you
Motifs.
taught for Love of Country. Thank you, thank you.
Okay, well I got to go look and see what I
Yeah.
did on the Love of Country
Yeah.
because I don't remember. But
Thank you, Gloria. We will go back and look at
I'll
Love
look
of
at it
Country
today
and
and
look at
take
that. And we probably won't be able to have that for Quilt Club Week
No.
this year,
No.
but we'll add it to the list.
List
And
for
we'd
next
love to
year.
hear what you guys want because that helps us know what kind of classes to
right,
plan and go
right.
around.
Right,
So,
Let us know.
Yeah.
Secretary, write that down. Remember that.
Motifs.
that motifs on that.
More motifs on the outside.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
So we actually have, we do have the patterns for the center section here of the America, and we do also have the Christmas pattern in there. So the class was kind of designed around taking something in the middle, whether it's a pieced item or whether it's a design like this. I think this was 16 by 20 inches, and the Christmas one is also. And then we worked our borders going around, and that was our semester class. So we have 2 membership clubs. We have the Quilt Club Week, which is just that week in September with a variety of everything in it. And then we have our Premium Club that is all year long, and it's broke up into a spring semester, a fall semester, and then we have some short summer classes to go along with that too. And if you join Premium Club, then Quilt Club is automatically a part of it, so it's not a separate purchase. So if you can, it really is the best value to go in and just sign up for Premium Club, and then you'll get Quilt Club Week. But if you just want Quilt Club Week, then you can go in and sign up for it, and you sign up for it, you pay the one fee, and you get 2020, 2021, 2022, and your new one of 2023 in there.
It's a lot
So
of
you get lots of
information.
information.
Lot of
Hundreds
information.
of
Hours and
Hours.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You couldn't.
We worked
It'd
really
be
hard to get
thousands
those.
of dollars if you took
Oh,
each one of
yes.
those individual
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah.
In our
Be
Premium
thousands.
Club, we have one section of classes that is called our beginners. And we really don't, like at the end of the 8 classes or whatever, we actually sit down and start sewing.
Right.
But it's just learning things that you don't learn in beginner classes.
Right.
And once you learn how some of this stuff is made or how it works or what the textiles do or whatever, then it's much easier, I think, to understand how to produce good work.
Right.
Because you know what you're working with.
Right.
Right.
You know what you're working with.
Right.
So do we have any questions, Steve, before we move on?
Nope. Don't
Nope.
see any questions, just comments, but
Okay.
all's good.
Okay, all right.
All's good.
So in our
No bad comments.
So in our webinar last Saturday,
Here's one on K's, just a comment, I think it's pretty good.
Uh-oh.
you'll get to see it. It'll show up on the monitor down here.
There you go. Okay, your travel
Girdle.
With
Travel girdle.
Oh, we're gonna have to call it a
We'll
travel
have,
girdle.
we'll have to call it a
With
travel
drawers.
But
girdle.
anyway, she,
Looks like a great organizer.
Oh, to use
put
at
your
your
sewing
home.
in.
Yeah, at
Yeah,
home
use
too.
home.
It is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is.
Yeah.
It would be.
Yeah.
It would be. And we
Yeah.
kind of talk about sizes. So if you've got a bigger box
So
that
you
you
can buy
want to
those
do it,
Drawers. And
yeah,
things
the bigger
different.
ones you could do the same thing with those.
Yeah. At home.
So you know, you just adjust your sizes a little bit.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
yeah, travel girdle.
Yeah.
Yep.
I like that.
Okay, well let's
TG.
let's some people probably don't even know what a girdle is.
Probably
depending
not.
on their
No.
ages. Yeah.
No.
So let's look at some square and a square things. So I've got a couple of different techniques or tips I'm going to show you, and then some different things from a lady who was asking questions last Saturday about what she wanted. So we're going to show a couple of things on it. But let's look down here at our table. And for those of you that are brand new to the square and a square, this is where everything starts. It starts out with a square in the middle, strips on the side, and this is what we call the basic square. And from the basic square, you trim it up with your square and a square tool, and you get different triangle units, and we call those triangle units options. So option 1 is a square and a square. Option 2 is when you keep sewing around. Option 3, flying geese. Option 4, half square triangles. And we now go all the way up to option 44, which is our Firefly. So from 1 to 44, we've been doing square and a square for almost 40 years, so that's more than one option a year, which is pretty amazing.
Yes.
And you have one tool, one ruler, that does all of it for you.
And if you bought that ruler 40 years ago, you can still
Same
use
one.
it.
Same one. Pull it out, dust it off,
Yep.
get the pizza off of it, and
Yep.
get going.
That's right.
All right, so any color, any size you can do. This is the original ruler that I'm going to use, the one that we always recommend you start with. It has a little book come with it. We call it the beginner's book. There's 5 options in there, 21 different blocks and sizes, and then 6 completed patterns. So there's a lot in there to get going. And then this is the main square in a square reference book. I think it's got like 160 pages in it, and it has the options 1 through 17, and those are all of the ones that start out with a square in the middle. We also have ones that start out with a diamond in the middle, and you have your diamond book for it. But this has your charts, it has your quilts, it has your blocks, your first 17 options. And this is the one that I always say, do you have the reference book? Go to page whatever. So this is, to me, is a must-have, and that you should get both. And then this is our brand new Firefly book, where it teaches you how to do multiple triangle units, so in a row. So when you look here, you see multiple triangle units in a row. There's the medallion quilt, there's other blocks, Stone Mountain, we're going to show you a little bit of that one. And then all of your, what I call characteristics, which means how you can change angles, change colors, change shapes. For example, here you can see how we've had to switch out colors and even how we had to change directions. So those are some of the characteristics for the Firefly. I think there's 10 of them, and they are here at the front of the book. And we'll be teaching a lot on Firefly this summer and also in Quilt Club Week. Most of what the classes I'm going to do will implement the Firefly. We'll do some out of this particular book, and then I'll have some new stuff. And then any quilt that has multiple triangle units in it, you can, I'm going to say, adapt it over to the Firefly, to the square and a square.
Right.
So even though this book has patterns with multiple triangle units in it, I don't show you how to do the Firefly because our Firefly is new.
Right.
But you can take any of these designs and do them.
And there's information in here on showing you
do it.
how you can do that and work together.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so we're going to come in here, and there's question.
I just want to show you this one.
Okay.
While we're
Can we have more videos to use the 4-patch and the
Nine
9-patch?
patch.
Yes, yes. We definitely need to do that. That's been on my
Yes.
list for a while. And I actually was thinking about this summer that maybe some of the webinars that I would do is maybe just start at the beginning of the 4-patch book
Right.
and go through those
Right.
quilts, and then with the 9-patch. I do have a new fabric collection coming, and so I'm kind of waiting on this new fabric because it is so different than anything we've
It
ever
is.
done
Right.
before.
Yeah, it's pretty
Right.
And I'm just really excited to get it and start working with it.
Right.
And once I show you that fabric and the quilts, then of course you want that
that
fabric,
fabric
and
immediately.
and
do
you're
you
gonna
have
want it.
kits and all that.
Yes.
So, but we will have the fabric by the time Quilt Club Week comes, and a lot of the quilts that I make for Quilt Club Week will be out of that fabric, and it's just it's beautiful. It's not. It's not like a cabbage rose beautiful like
No.
you think about. It's
It's-
totally different.
It's
but-
totally different than a Jodi.
and
Yeah,
different
yeah.
colors.
Different
Yeah,
colors.
different color palette
Different
than
colors than what
what
Jodi
we use.
usually does.
Does.
I'm
So-
not sure how it's going to fit into the house in there, but
Oh,
know.
quilts don't have to fit into the house. You make quilts because you love them. Yes, sir.
so this fits into your
How
what
do
you're
you
getting
know?
ready to
Yes.
do.
How do you know what size of center square to start
There
with?
you
Very
go.
good question,
Right.
Miss Anderson. Okay, so if you're following any of the patterns in the book, the patterns are going to tell you exactly what color, what size, and show you everything that you need to know with that pattern. But if you're adapting it, so you're taking an idea that you have or an older pattern that you have, and you want to adapt it over to the system, then that's the charts. And the charts start on page 34, and you have, I think, 12 pages of charts. So, for example, let's say that you need a flying goose, because that's what most people are thinking
Use.
about, is a flying goose. So if we can zoom down pretty big, pretty close, Mr. Steve. And I'll move my book where I need to. Okay, so the option 3 is a flying geese, and I'm going to show you how to trim it. But in this very first column right here, it says, what size of flying goose do you want? So you just find the size, and then you move across, and the center column tells you what size of center square, and the last column tells you the width of your strip. And up here at the top of each column, it'll say what is the size of flying goose you want. Here is your cut center square, and here is your cut strip size. So
It's
Pretty
all
simple.
there.
Ready to go.
Information's all
Yeah.
there.
you just have to
So-
figure out on that pattern that you're doing what size that is. Is it a
Right.
2x4 finished or
And
what it
anytime
is?
you
And
need
it's
help,
pretty easy. Yes.
you can just go right to the text
text
line
hotline
and say,
yes.
show me a picture of what you're trying to make, or say, I need a flying goose that's 2x4,
Four.
and I'll do a little video. I'll show you the book and ask you what you have so that I can show you. If maybe you don't have the reference book, you have one of the other books. I've written over 30 books over the almost 40 years. So maybe you have another one. I can say, well, go to page 12 in that one, and it'll,
Right.
you know, so you can text anytime you have questions, need help.
Do you want to go with questions, or you want to finish what you're doing?
We can do a question, yeah.
Just comment about diamonds, wanting some diamond things. I know we've done those before.
Okay. Usually in our quick little webinars like this, I don't really go into the diamonds because it's another whole
No, this is like a future thing.
Right.
Future thing.
Yeah.
Do diamonds.
Right.
Okay.
But we do have webinars that we did in the fall. Let's see, this is 22, maybe of 20, maybe fall of 20. We did a whole bunch of webinars all fall. So like once a week, we did the first option
Then
7,
seven,
and we
and
did
then
the Canadian geese,
geese,
and then we did. So there is video already out there, and it's I think it's fall of 20 or 21.
And it would be if they're signed up for our free webinars, they would be in there.
So if you're signed up for our free webinars, you can just go to our website and do it with your email, right?
Yeah, you
Yeah.
can watch anytime.
And you
right
can go
now.
in there and watch our free webinars anytime you want. So those diamond ones are already in there.
Yep.
You don't have to wait on me. You don't have to get in line.
Charts. Same thing with charts.
Yes.
Using the charts in your books.
Usually the charts, like today I gave you a real quick thing of how to use the charts. Usually in the free webinars, I don't go into that in depth. Most of those are in Quilt Club Week or in Premium Club.
Okay, and when are you going to be showing your new fabric?
When are we going to be
When
showing
it
you the
comes.
fabric?
Whenever it
Since
comes.
you brought it up.
Yeah, since I brought it up. So we have a retreat that starts tomorrow for Square and a Square. So I have what they call strike-offs, which is smaller than a fat quarter, and that's what you get to make your final approval on color and design and all that. Basically, at that point, the only thing you can change is color. Design
Right.
is set. If
Yeah.
you're changing design, then
You're
you should have done that
You-
several
yeah.
steps back.
Yeah.
But so anyway, my retreaters will get to see that fabric this week,
Right.
so they'll be the first ones to get to see it. I'm hoping that the end of April, first week of May, that I get like 10 yards of each one of them, so that we can start making quilts. And then at that time, that means the fabric is done and it's time to start moving it our direction. Which I always say, fabric is like a baby. You
Yeah.
kind of know when the baby's coming, but you
you
never
don't
really
know.
know when the baby's
Until
coming.
it shows up, they
Or
call you.
how it's going to get here.
Yes, right.
You know,
Yes.
you could think that you're going to do this, but you wind up with an emergency C-section.
Right.
You never know. So waiting on that fabric is kind of like waiting on a baby. You don't really know. So I'm hoping that the fabric will be here sometime midsummer is what I'm going to say. And then usually we start marketing it and showing it and telling you about it so that we can start the process of getting things ready. But because we're always in a hurry.
You're going to be a little tricky this
Yeah.
year.
But I think this year we're going to hold off on showing that new baby. So it's kind of like a Kardashian baby.
Baby.
You don't get
You're
a
not quite
picture of
sure.
it right
Yeah.
away. You have to wait to find out what the baby looks like. So anyway,
Oh, wow.
so
Where do we go with that?
he always wonders how my brain works.
Yes.
So anyway, you may have to wait a little bit. We'll for sure have it, and because Quilt Club Week is the last week of September, so since anyway, you'll see some of it this summer,
Yeah.
and by September it'll all be out and ready
Ready.
to go, and actually already in your hands. Sometimes you see Quilt Club Week, and then you order your stuff and get it and work on it afterwards. But I'm hoping that we're ahead enough this time if everything works
falls
out.
in- if
they-
all
the
those
baby's
ducks are in
ready
a
to
row.
come, yeah.
Yes.
All
If
the
it's a
ducks are in the
textbook
row.
baby,
Yeah.
then we'll be able to show you some of that stuff this summer. So just stay with the webinar, stay posted. If you're on the email list, you're going to get emails about it. So
And that quilt, or that star, was that in your borders class?
yes,
Okay,
This-
somebody just wondered how
how to
you
do
did
it.
that.
Yeah.
So I figured that's where.
Yeah, I'll just show you real quick. So the options go like from 1 to 44. The square options that start out with a square in the middle go from option 1 to 17. This particular star is made with an option 9. And I don't have all the things here to show you all of the steps. But if you can see this red triangle with the 2 blacks and these whites, that triangle shape right there like that, that is an option 9. And so here is an option 9, and there's an option 9. So we just used 3 option 9s to make this broken star. It looks like a broken star, like part of it's hiding underneath the center on there. And then these right here, this square, so you have your black square, 2 triangles, and a red, that's an option 11. And we put it in the middle and put strips on it to actually get that square, which we just kept repeating for our border. So you can see how that just all the different units go together to make all of these beautiful different designs. This one here is really cool too, because this one is a 4-patch in the middle, and we surrounded it with our strips. And so these are just squares that then we put together. Now, the reason why I did the option 11 in the middle like this, and I used the 4 patches in the middle like this, is because I really wanted this, I'm going to say, on point square look to go around in the border, and then to also come around and frame. It all kind of stemmed off of this right here in the very center. We have our black with our, looks like triangles, and then we have our black that looks kind of jagged like that, and then we have our black that does that. So I think that one is really pretty, and it was really gave us the ability to teach a lot of different things with it. Another question, or ready to move on? Okay, move on, he says.
Evidently, let's move on. Yep.
Okay, so let's look, if you have questions, get them in, but let's look at how we start trimming this block. So we'll zoom in down here close. All right, so square in the middle, strips on the side. Go to your ruler. If you're holding it where you can read it, your 90 will be over here on the right, and I'll put it on this white so maybe you can see it a little bit better. So your lines come together and touch, and the tip of that 90 right there, you're going to put in the corner of your square, and you can see that 1/4 of an inch, because we'll cut here, and you can see that 1/4 of an inch. So here's my 90. I just push it into the corner of the square. My black lines go right over the seam. I have a grid line that shoots right through there. This tells me this is a good corner to start with. Everything, all of my human elements have worked out good.
Lining up.
Now, if I put it on this corner here and I don't like it, it's not lining up, then I'll just turn it and I'll start with a new corner, because you've got 4 corners to choose from. So I always say, pick the best corner, put your best foot forward. Because once you start, you're going to keep it square with this very first cut. And so if you start out with a little half step off, then it just keeps repeating and showing up. So there's your 1/4 of an inch trim, just like that. And we're going to jump right into our flying geese, of how to trim our flying geese, because that's all of this that we're going to work on today. So to do my flying geese, I want to do the 1/4 of an inch on 2 opposite corners. So see, I did this corner, now I'm flipping it and doing that one. And when I put the 90 in there, it leaves that 1/4 of an inch. And then I'm going to come over here on the corners, and I'm going to do what we call the 2-step. So I put the 90 in there, and then I step it or slide it over 2 lines, 2 of the same 45 lines. And I'm going to look where I've already cut to make sure that I'm keeping it nice and square. So I use my grid lines to make sure that my fabric underneath there is staying nice and square, because I want this to be a good 90 corner, good 90 angle. So here you can see how it's sharp. Here you can see how we have the 1/4 of an inch. So this sharp trim, the 2-step trim, we want to do it over there also. Now normally we would come in here and cut it in half, and you can see how you would get 2 flying geese out of it. So let me see right here, because I don't want to cut it for what I'm going to show you today. So if you come in here and cut it through these sharp points, then there's your flying goose, just a traditional flying goose. Okay, now I'm going to show you some tips with the flying goose, something else that you can do. Okay, so if you take your square like this, and it's trimmed up for a flying goose, but don't cut it. Okay, so put your strip in the sewing machine, and where you have the sharp trim, the 2-step, you're going to sew it. You're going to leave a little bit of a space. You're going to sew another one, and just keep putting however many on the strip that you need. And then when you press, of course you want to press so that this is your option. You want to press so that your option is flat. And now we're going to come in here and we're going to do a brand new little trick. So this is what we want. We want a flying goose with a square on the end. So this is a great border that you can use where the flying geese are kind of
Yes.
stair-steppy and go up. So normally you would have your flying goose and you'd have to sew a square to
Square
the
to
corner.
Mhm.
And we know that our squares don't get cut exactly perfect and they don't get sewn exactly perfect. So you've got human elements. Every time you have a seam, you have a cutting, sewing, pressing, you have 3 human elements. So we want to do as much of the work over here before we start cutting something up, because then you can get more perfect units. So I'm still going to use the square and a square ruler, but I'm basically just using the edge of the ruler, so it doesn't matter. So I'm putting the edge of the ruler right along the edge of my fabric. I'm looking at the grid lines to make sure I'm staying square, because I want this to come
be
off
square.
square. I don't want it to
Right.
start shifting with my
Right.
work. And that's something that if you just took a square and sew it on the end, they're going to start
gonna shift.
shifting. Yeah. So then you're going to trim up the other side. And I'm just kind of lining it up and lining it up, making sure that it's as square as possible. So now we have it trimmed up. But now we're going to go through here and we're going to just put the edge of the ruler in that sharp point. And
Okay.
then see here you have that 1/4 of an inch. So that 1/4 of an inch from the edge of the ruler to right here, I'm going to put that on the point because this is already sewn right
So,
here.
right.
And I'm looking out here to make sure I'm staying square. And I'm going to trim it. And because we had an up and a down on
Correct.
here,
Mm-hmm.
look how you
Gives you
can
up and
get both of those. So you
the
don't
line.
have to think about when you're sewing this.
No.
Yeah,
Okay, I need
which
a
what
left,
you do.
I
Yep.
Or
need
need
a
a right.
right.
Yep.
How
Right.
many do I
Yep.
need, or
You
whatever.
get
So
opposites.
there's your border right there. You can do this as a border,
Mhm.
just beautiful. Now, of course, if you're wanting to do a star, then how many times do you have a little square on the end of
Right.
a
Oh
flying
yeah.
goose?
Oh yeah.
So if I was doing a
You
star,
could do both sides.
sides.
Is that,
Mhm.
yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
let's do that.
You could do
Let's
that,
see.
right?
Let's see how that works for a star.
Yeah.
So see, this is what we're talking about playing. You do something and you're like,
You
okay,
go, oh
I
yeah,
think,
well let's try it this way.
yeah, I think this
Yeah.
will work to. So once again, I'm just putting it through the sharp point,
Yeah.
my 1/4 of an inch line. I'm looking
Right.
at my grids to make sure it's staying nice and square. So let's see what's going to happen with this. So there's one. We might have to.
I was
put-
going to say, wouldn't you have to sew
One.
strips on both sides?
That's what I was thinking.
If you sew strips on,
Both if you
On
sew
both.
this
Oh, yeah,
side
you can
and
do
then
it
you
on
do it
this
on
side.
that side
Mhm.
and then
And
then
then
you
would
would
have-
or
then
would you
would
have too many though?
No, you.
Because if you have one on this side and one on this
Well-
side and one on this side and one on this side, then you can't.
No, but if you want more than one star.
Sure.
Okay, so
Right.
if you have it on both sides, you're going to get this and this out of one.
Right.
Right.
And so then you're just going to do your normal.
Then you're
Normal.
not going to. Yeah. Then you're just
Some
going to do
you
your.
wouldn't
Okay.
do
Yeah.
the
and
strips
then do
on.
your square in the
Yeah,
middle.
that works.
Because you don't
Sure.
need you don't
Right.
need,
Need
the
it
square
there
on
because
this.
you've got it already on that
Because
one.
this
yeah.
would be,
Mm-hmm.
it'd be like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
then you'd have your star
Easy.
like that.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
A lot
So-
easier than putting those little squares,
Squares
on the
on
corner.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this other one would go
And there should be
into
perfect.
doing your other star if you
Mhm.
had 2 stars.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
And look how nice and clean.
I know,
That's what
everything
I love.
it is.
That's what I love. It's just so nice and clean.
Right.
Okay, so there's a tip there on making
I like
those. And then let's bring this quilt down. Let's look at this one. This is option 17 right here. Right here's fine. We'll do this camera. Okay, so for option 17, what we did, so one of the questions from last Saturday's class was a student wanted these 2 triangles and a square inside of a flying goose like this. So let's mark it off. So what they were looking for was this, and she was trying to figure out what options to use to get this shape right here. And so this is actually an option 8, and so she was like, well, I could do an option 8 and then sew strips on and do. And you can do that. You have to be careful to keep your accuracy on that when it's not quite as, I wouldn't have a beginner do it, but it can be done that way. But on this one, we did 2 17s. So this right
Okay.
here,
Oh, is that okay?
one,
Okay.
two,
There you go.
three, that's
Okay.
the tri-square,
Okay.
option 17. And see how we put another one right next
right
up
next
to
to
it.
it. And put it in
And
there.
we got that particular unit. And 17 is actually easier to do to get this.
Sure.
And this quilt was called Miss Perfect Patchwork in the Mystery of the Fiber Forest. And this was one of our classes, one of our semester classes that we did. And so we took option 17, and every block in this quilt, there's 12 of them, we showed option 17 and how to
Change it up.
and use it in a quilt. So here you can see the option
another
17,
17, yeah.
how we did
Oh,
them
okay.
in a pinwheel.
Oh, cool.
So I'm going to talk about this. Maybe you girls can hang this behind me.
Okay, sure.
So this is Miss Perfect Patchwork. Although we did it a couple of years ago, the videos are in the Premium Club website, so
Is it a
you
book
can
or-
go in and they just download the pages. There is
Oh,
a
okay.
direction up because of the
Okay, yes.
trees.
Okay.
So you've got a lot of trees because of the mystery of the fiber forest. So it's got a lot of trees. So you can see, so here we have the option 17s for our point. Here, look at this crate. We've got two option 17s here that make this kind of
Arch
expanded
Yeah.
pinwheel.
Mhm.
And how these came together in the center. Look at this one, how we flipped it and put them on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
And then this one, just more of a simple pinwheel in the middle. And then the other ones down below that you can't see. But you can see how we take an idea or a concept and make that flow all through that semester of classes in Premium Club. So let's look down here and see actually how we're going to make our option 17. So inside our center square, if you can kind of think about this as our center, we have two strips. So it's a square, but because you've got rectangles, you kind of have an illusion that it's elongated, but it's still a square. So we put two strips together, and that becomes our square in the middle. And then we sew around it with our strips and trim it up right up to the tip, like I did on my flying geese, right up to the tip. And then we cut through those tips. We get two half square triangles, and we get two option 17s.
Okay.
So that's just how easy option 17 is. And then that you take that of what you learned in concept and put it in your blocks, and there
Because
you
the
go.
leftover half square triangles, you did another block down here with just half square triangles.
Right. So let's look up here at the quilt again.
Can we pull it up? You want to pull it up?
So, well, let's look up here. So here you can see how we used the 17s, and then we used the half square triangles in here.
Right.
So we just
Okay,
implemented
yeah.
them in. Here they are in the corners
Right.
there. This one we used it in the center.
Center.
It looks like an option one,
One,
but we
but-
used it. And then bring it on up, Kathy.
Sure.
They can see the bottom. And then here we did just all half square triangles that we had. This one we did option ones and flying geese. We didn't use any 17s in there. And then this one we used it here in the middle. And we did flying geese there on the end. And so these little flat ones, these come from the diamond shapes. And these pointed ones here, they come from the diamond shapes. Those are some of the diamond options. All right, do we have any questions coming in? So that's, oh, I've got one more to show. So if you have questions, get your questions coming, because we're going to be done here in just a minute. So we always want to teach and educate in every video that we do, whether it's for a Premium Club or whether it's just an open one to the public like we did here today. We always want to give you value and let you know that we're here to educate and teach. And this is one that we will do in Quilt Club Week. This is Stone Mountain right here. I just love it. It's just so pretty.
Pretty.
Yeah.
And this is one of the patterns that's in the new Firefly book. So let's zoom out just a little bit so we can see
May
more,
switch over.
or I'll switch to another camera.
Can
So
you bring it back? Oh, there.
yeah, that's good. Okay, so one of the, just like I showed you some tips here of how to progress and get more bang for your buck on your concept so that you get more speed and accuracy. in this particular little class, talk about how to do sashings and cornerstones on your quilt. Because most of the time, people will do this in rows.
Right.
So they'll have their block and they'll sew a cornerstone and a sashing and a cornerstone. And then in this section, they'll have these two on. And then they want you to put this whole row together.
yeah.
And then they want you to put this whole row together. And you've got to try to match
Match
stuff
those
up.
up.
And
Right.
then on the rows, you've got to get this row matched up with this
That's
row.
Yep.
And it can be a lot of matching.
Right.
And you think, oh, I'm just sewing straight strips, and
Yeah,
you're not
but-
paying attention, and then your blocks are not all
No.
lined up nice and straight, which can drive us crazy. So I decided that I was going to do my sashings a little bit different. So no matter how many blocks you have in the quilt, no matter how many,
Right.
12, 9,
Mhm.
6, no matter how many blocks, you're going to take every block that you have, and you're going to do two sides,
Two sides.
of it.
Right. Okay.
So you're going to put your sashing on, and then you're going to take your cornerstone and put it on your sashing, and then sew that on.
Correct.
So let's say that this quilt is going to have 12 blocks. So all 12,
12
I'm
of
going to
those
do
gonna do
this.
that.
Okay. So, and then I take one block. Then I'm going to take, of those 12,
Right.
I'm going to take one block, and I'm going to add the third side,
Okay.
and I'm
That's
going to
for
take
the-
one block, and I'm going to do all 4 sides.
Okay.
Okay, so now it looks like I have bigger blocks.
Right.
So when you start putting these together,
Together.
then see how that one's going to go to here. So now it's just
Right.
like I'm sewing a bigger block to
Blocks.
another bigger block.
Correct.
And so
And
I
keep
keep
going.
doing that for however many I have.
Blocks in a row.
However many blocks you have in a row, whether you have 3 or 4 or whatever. And then I'm going to do that to the next one and the next one and the next one. And when you get to the bottom row, in the very corner, so I'm going to move this here. So when you get to the bottom row, you need one that has the 3 sides on it.
One.
You need one that has the 3 sides on it. I don't have the other pieces.
Right. Right.
But you need one that has the 3 sides on it in that row, and then you need one that has all 4 sides on, and then they just all go
Get
together.
together.
And that's one of the videos that's already in Quilt Club Week. We've already shown you how
Yeah.
to do this in
That's
Quilt
pretty
Club
simple
Week.
to do
It
sashings
is.
that
It's
way.
Yeah.
a nice way to do it.
It's
That way you're not
easy.
working with those long rows.
Strips. Yeah.
And you have to do a
Yeah.
lot of pinning, and you have to make sure everything is
matches
matched
up
up
and
because
stuff.
you know, obviously you want,
You want
this
everything
one
to
to match
match.
up here and that
Sure.
one to match up there.
Yep.
So this just makes it so much easier to do.
Yes, it does. A lot easier.
You do it that way a lot, don't you, Kay?
I do.
I thought
I
you,
do.
I thought you did.
I kind of started doing that.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And to me, it just makes it really simple. The only thing you have to pay attention is if you have any blocks that are vertical,
right.
that
You
are
have
yeah,
to
you
make
gotta be
sure
careful.
which way.
Mhm.
Yes.
You have to make sure
Yes.
which sides you put the 2 on.
Sure.
Right. Like
and make sure
like
they stay
eagles.
consistent.
Eagle
Yes.
heads.
Yeah, if you've got
Yeah.
a block with fabric and you want an eagle head or a soldier or whatever to
It's
be.
coming up. She's really picking on
She is being really picky today, isn't she? She's
Well-
normally not picky. She's usually like, "Oh, that'll work.
That'll
That's
work, yeah.
that's no worry."
Well, she's referring to the. Do you know which quilt was it?
It was
was
the
a
log cabin.
Log cabin Americana.
Kinda.
and we use the eagle
I
fabric.
used the
and-
eagle
used the
fabric. I
fabric.
made all of the blocks with the
You
eagle.
made all the
all the log cabin blocks with the eagle
Star.
up the same way, and then
Uh-huh.
when I put it together, you have to turn it this way and that way. And
He's
this
in a
way.
windstorm.
So, like, the eagle was this way, the eagle was upside down, the eagle was over this way, and I took them all out and fixed them all.
Yeah.
Fixed them all. The
Yeah.
eagles.
She did.
If it bothers you,
Uh,
then go fix
yeah.
it.
She
It
did.
did bother me. It did
yes.
bother me.
Yes,
Yeah.
it even bothered me. It was
Yeah.
like, yeah, you gotta
That
do
way,
that,
We
Kathy.
got to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate to, but
Well, we have to
Yeah.
be respectful to the eagle. All right, so get some
Yes.
questions in here.
What about it? Being left-handed and using your ruler?
I'm left-handed.
Kathy is left-handed.
Not a problem.
Just turn it the other way.
You just turn it the other way. And one of the things that I noticed that
You
when
can
she
grab
was
one out of here.
when she was just one of
Any of
one of
that.
those.
There you go.
Okay, so
That's
when
good.
she was doing the being left-handed, you go here and you line it up. There's your 90-degree angle.
Let me come
Oops,
down.
sorry. Okay, so there's your 90 degree and you put it right up into the corner. And I make sure that my lines are good, and this one comes straight down in. Okay, same thing with the other side. Just flip it, put it in there, line up everything really nicely, cut it. Now for the to the tip one, okay, she uses this side, but I kind of use the other side.
I use both actually.
Do you?
It just depends.
So I just use the other side, and yeah, I think it really just depends. It
You can
doesn't
use-
matter.
it doesn't
I mean,
matter.
I can use this side also. In fact, I'm thinking I usually do it because it
Yeah.
felt a little odd doing it
Yeah.
that way. But no problem.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Nope, doesn't matter. There's one, and there's the other. So perfect. Just like that. Not a big
There we
deal.
go. Cool. Very good. We have some more questions?
Can you demonstrate how to break the beak or what that means
Yes.
or whatever?
Oh, and I was going to show a firefly too. I had over here.
Yep.
Okay, so that's the firefly. Okay, so this is your flying goose. We have another one. There he is. Okay, this is your flying goose. And if you're putting two flying geese together or more, so if you're putting two together or more, if we're, and so like this, we do have two together, so you would do the same thing. When you sew this together, so it's going to be sewn right here. So that's the beak, that's the nose of him. So when we press, we want to break it. So that means that it's going to press back towards the body, and it's going to look like that on the back. You kind of naturally think
To go
that it
that
should
way.
be like that.
No.
But that's not. That's keeping it flat. You want to break the beak, so that means you're going to press it back like that. And what that does, and the reason why we do that, is I always say it's like putting a bridle in a horse's mouth that makes them fly straight. They don't start flying to the left or to the right.
Yeah, and it just comes out really nice.
Yeah. So you can see that nose on that one right there. So see how it's not flat like that. That would be pressing that nose flat. We break it. We make it bend back. Do a back bend over there and make it do that. So that's breaking the beak. Okay, another question?
Oh.
No?
Had
Okay,
another lefty said they've never had problems.
yeah, just opposite side, yeah. Okay, so I'm going to give you just a really quick thing of the Firefly. We did like a 2-hour on it just a couple of days ago. You can go back in and watch it on the Facebook page or YouTube or
Free webinars.
in the free webinar section. So if we trim our block up to the tip on all 4 corners. So Kathy, I'm going to have you go ahead and trim this one
You got it all.
up to the tip,
Like
like
the-
an option 4, which
Okay.
would be half square triangles.
Okay. So,
So you're 2-stepping all 4 corners.
and
And-
this one I had 2 of them done, so I just come
Right.
back in and do the other 2.
Other 2.
Yeah.
Okay. So normally we would come in here and cut it like this and cut it like this, and we would get 4 half square triangles. Okay?
Correct.
So to do the Firefly, we want to cut it 1 time. So cut it in half 1 time.
And if you have different colors, you need to be aware which way.
Yes,
You're
and
cutting
the,
it
and
across.
the book tells you about that.
See that? I did
Back.
that.
Okay. So that's all right. So let's look at the difference. Because we 2-stepped all 4 corners because we're
Right.
going to get half square triangles. See, we have a rectangle like a flying goose, but we have this sharp trim.
Trim at the
We
tip.
don't have that 1/4 of
Right.
an inch. With the flying
Right.
geese, we need it there for our seam. With the Firefly, we're going to wind up with half square triangles. We don't need it.
Correct.
Okay, so when you sew these together, and you can sew as many together as you want. Like in our quilt here, we have like up to 7 in there. So you're going to sew them together. So because it's up to the tip, when you sew that, see that blunted edge?
Mm-hmm.
But that's your seam allowance in there. That's your 1/4 inch that you need. So sew as many together as you need, and then you just come in here. So let's get a Stone Mountain one out, because this Stone Mountain had 3. Or we can just bring the whole stack over. Okay, so let's look at our Stone Mountain. So see, in our Stone Mountain, we have 3 half square triangles together. So if we put 3 of our Firefly rectangles together, we're going to come in here and cut it in half and see how you're going to get
And those
both
three.
of those. So we're going to come in here and we're going to use your edge with 1/4 of an inch. You're going to line it up with your horizontal lines, edge of the ruler right in the tip, your 1/4 of an inch edge right there off of that point, and cut it. And I have multiple triangles in a row.
Wow.
Going opposite
Mhm.
ways, yeah.
So see,
So
that
cool.
one needs to
That-
go there, that angle needs to go
Mhm.
there,
And that
and
one
that
goes
one
there.
needs to go there.
It's so
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah.
I love
Wow.
that.
I know. It's
I
just
know.
like, and you know, one of the thing. There's multiple things about this little magic unit of the Firefly that I love, but the thing to me that helps me and that I love about it is that you can get all these half square triangles made however you want to make them.
Right.
You know,
Mhm.
but then when you start sewing them together,
Together,
these
they get a little
twisted.
wonky because
And you
you've
wind
got a
up
little.
with your blue here, or your
Yeah.
blue there, or your blue there, and you thought, you know.
Had it right, but
Yeah.
you didn't.
So
Yeah.
if you had 100 of these to sew together, you're probably going to have 20 that you have to rip.
Right.
But with the Firefly, you're sewing them all
Oh,
in the direction
right. You're-
that they need to go.
And it's already pressed
Yeah,
how they need to go.
right. And
So
so,
you're not
they're not going to
repressing.
get twisted. You're
That's right.
not going to have to go back and
Mm-mm.
rip them out and turn them and put them back in.
Right.
And that's what I love. So in
That
this
is
stone
cool.
mountain, here you can see the outside edges, and then these are just regular flying
Flying
geese.
geese.
So, did we have regular flying? Yeah. So your regular flying geese, just 3 of
Quarter
them,
inch.
boom, 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 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it.
Cool. Very cool.
All right. So what we want you to do is right now, while you're thinking about it, we want you to go to the website page, squareinasquare.com. And we want you to look at that banner that's flying up through the top. And we want you to click on Quilt Club Week. And we want you to join Quilt Club Week. Or we want you to click on the Premium Club and join the Premium Club.
If you hit premium, you can see both of them.
Hit Premium, you can see both. Now, if you join Premium Club, Quilt Club Week is a part of it. You don't have to sign up extra or pay extra for it. It is a part. We started Quilt Club Week in 2020. We kind of got this crazy idea in the summer of 2020 because the world was
the world
shut
stopped.
down.
Yeah.
The world was shut down, and there were no shows, and there was no fun happening, and
Right.
everything was stifled, and we were all sad, and we needed something to think about and motivate. And so I was like, Steve, can we do this? Because I can't do it without
Right.
him. I can stand
Right.
up here and teach all I want,
But-
but if I don't have the
He's behind the
cameras,
scenes,
if I
yeah.
don't have the lights and camera, there's no action.
That's right.
So I was like, can you help us? And everybody was like, yes, do it. I was like, I want to go to a quilt show. What do you do at a quilt show? You get demos, you get to see new fabric, you get to take classes, you get lectures. And I was like, okay, we need to
To do
put
this
those
soon,
in
yeah.
a video format. So we called it Quilt Club Week, and we did it in a magical amount of time.
It was a short period of time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we did it, and it was so good and everybody loved it so much that we decided, well, let's just continue
Yeah.
with this. Let's do
Yep.
it again. Let's do it once a year. So we actually did it as a celebration for Premium Club. And so we do our Quilt Club Week in the fall. That's our big event. And then, of course, we have our fall semester and Premium Club. And then in the spring, we do our retreat. So our retreats are different than what other retreats are. So basically, retreats are like Quilt Club Week, but it's in person.
Right.
Because you do go to the quilt show
Facility.
and you want to sit down and start sewing right
Right.
away
Right.
Right.
because you saw that or you wanted to finish your class or whatever. So the retreat in person, we have all of our teachers there. You can sew at your own pace, sew on your own project, but we have lots of demos like this going
Right.
on that you can watch. We have actual classes you can take if you want to take, like our Kisses from Our Beloved is one of them that we're doing.
And
at
you do it right
retreat
from
this
the
year.
same spot.
And
I
you
mean,
do
you
it
don't
right there.
move to a classroom.
Right.
It's your
Everybody's
machine that
there.
you know.
Those people that want to take the class can. Those
Right.
that don't.
Yeah.
And you know, I'm working on something. Usually, I'm doing machine quilting, and I'll say, oh, I've got this thing that I want to show you. Anybody wants to see it? Come on down.
I'm going to show you how to
Yeah.
do this corner,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I'm trying to decide what to put here. This is
Right.
so you
Right.
actually get to go up and see
Stand
what the
up, move.
teacher is
Right.
doing.
Right, and they
And-
bring us
yeah,
challenges.
Yeah. They
I want
also-
this quilt.
Yeah.
How do I
How
do
do I
this?
Get it into the
Yeah,
square,
I
to
wanna
square
make
system. Yeah.
This quilt, how do I adapt it over?
Yes.
How do I use my charts? How am I
Right.
sizing to do? So
Right.
really excited about Quilt Club Week. It's a beautiful retreat center. It's out in the middle
Yep.
of a working ranch.
It is.
It's about an hour from the metro of Dallas Fort Worth. We already have our dates chosen for next year.
Okay.
We do start tomorrow, so if you
Yes.
packed your car up and started,
You
you
can
could
come
be
to
here.
come. You can still come. Yes, we'd
It's a
love you for to
Beautiful
come.
retreat center. They cook all of our food there. It's
Yeah,
all
we do.
good,
We don't have to
wholesome
cook. We
food.
don't have to clean up. We just
Yeah.
have to sit there with our little coffee cups. And
Yeah,
It's great.
yeah. And you can sew all night. You can sew all
Yep.
day.
Yep.
You can take a walk down the road.
Jody
yes.
brings M&Ms, snacks,
We got-
Oh, yeah, we got
wine,
lots of
M&Ms.
different things.
Mhm.
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff.
Mhm.
Water.
And
stuff.
and people who fly in, they don't want to bring a machine. We have a machine.
Machines.
We pick them up at the airport, so we try to make it just as easy as
Right.
possible, whether you're driving in or flying in.
Yep.
Yep.
And
It's a great opportunity for anybody.
yeah,
Good
great
therapy.
hands-on.
It's our
Oh, it
quilt
is.
therapy.
It's wonderful. We
Good
laugh.
therapy.
We giggle.
Yeah.
You know, it's just
Make lasting friends.
yeah.
So
Yes.
then, so is mostly, like our premium club members. So then, when they go back and they get on the Facebook page for premium club members, they know,
We know who they are.
Who
They
they
know
are.
who Peggy is. They know
Yes.
who
Right.
Sharon
Yes.
is. They
Yeah.
know, and
Yep.
because they've built that relationship
Right.
there at the retreat center. So you get sewing sisters across the miles.
That's right.
Another thing that's great about Quilt Club Week, and this was really important during the pandemic, but I still think it has great value today, because I have a lot of sisters. We don't always get together. So I love this story. There was multiple groups of sisters, one in California, one in Canada, one in Australia, one in New Zealand or Spain or whatever. They watched Quilt Club Week together.
Oh,
and
did they?
yeah.
And
Oh,
they
that's kinda
cool.
fun.
And they did it.
Skyped or WhatsApp or
Yeah.
FaceTime or whatever.
Yeah.
So they would
They
watch,
could talk. Yeah.
talk each
to
other.
each other
Uh-huh.
and then
and watch
the
the class, and they're
That's so
like,
cool.
"Oh, did you see how they did that? I
Yeah.
want to do that." So they could still be a part
together.
but be across the miles, and
Yeah.
I
Right.
really
That's
love
cool.
That's
that.
kind of cool.
And
That is cool.
Even though the world is opened back up, lots
It's
of
still
times
crazy.
you're not able to travel,
Mhm.
either maybe physically or financially. You're not able to travel, but that way you have something that you can do
Share.
with a friend
Mhm.
or a sister,
Mhm. Yes.
and enjoy your hobbies and
Yeah.
people that you enjoy being with all together.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, so any last minute questions come in, Steve? Okay, remember the website, squareandasquare.com. Go in and join Premium Club. Go in and join Quilt Club Week. If you do Premium Club, you don't have to do Quilt Club Week. Go in and do that now. If you're not signing up for either one, sign up for the email list so that you'll be notified about our webinars when we do our teaching that's open to the public. And Quilt Club Week is the last week of September. So as we get closer to the actual time period of it, so not only do you have your recorded videos, but you have live stuff going on that week. We do a lot almost every day to help build up and let people know about Quilt Club Week, and some people
Right.
join right then.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can join now, and you can
You
start
have-
watching the past years.
Right.
Each class stands on its own, but they do kind of build
Right.
on
Oh
each
yeah,
other.
especially
do.
with machine quilting. I started
Yeah.
out with very basics,
Basics.
and stuff, and I built along the
Along
way.
the way. Mhm.
Yeah. So go in and watch that. Like for Quilt Club Week this year, I'm not going to show you how to sew the square and the strips on,
Strips,
because
right.
I've already shown you that.
Right.
So
You should know
that
how
way
to
you
do
can
that
go,
at this
you
point.
kind
Yes.
of build off of some of that. So
Right.
I guess any last minute questions from you guys or comments?
No, but come and join us. It's a lot of fun, and you
So
know.
when's the retreat next year?
I don't have those
Oh, you
dates.
don't have
It's
the
in
day outside.
April.
It's okay.
But it because of Easter, the dates
It's-
kind of
Oh,
change.
we'll
Change
change a
around.
little bit.
Yeah,
So
but it's in April. So
our
it's
retreat starts tomorrow and goes
Yeah.
through
19
it's
to
Sunday.
23.
Yeah. So
We
it's like,
start. Everybody travels on a Wednesday. We start a Wednesday afternoon. Usually everybody's there at supper's like 5 or 5:30.
17 to 21.
17 to 21
so it's
next
pretty
year.
close. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty close.
Mhm.
17 to 21 of 2024, and then we sew all day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and then people go home Sunday,
Sunday.
either get their airplanes or start driving, so they have all day.
Right.
Now at night you can sew, but we also have lectures at
Right.
night.
Yes.
Right.
And on one of the evenings, we're going to come here to what we call the warehouse and the
House and-
filming studio.
Yes, and see
then-
Jodi's house.
And then also the house where you can see all the hundreds of quilts and
Yep.
the displays and everything there.
And she's
So-
not kidding.
Yeah,
She does
hundreds.
have hundreds of
One time,
It's just beautiful.
my-
It's just
thank you.
beautiful.
My youngest son, he was maybe about 12 or so, and he stood kind of in the entryway of our house. You could see the entryway, the kitchen, and then I don't know what else you could see. Anyway, there was like 3 little areas that he could see, and he stood there and he said, "Mom, do you know I can stand right here and see 97 quilts?" And I said, "No, I didn't know that, but I knew you'd
Thank
stand
you.
here and
Thank
see a
you for
lot."
telling.
Yeah. And a pretty good antique collection too.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
In fact, you're staying in the antique
I'm-
quilt
and-
room.
yes.
So she has to sleep real still.
Yes.
Can't
Be
disturb
really
them.
neat because she's got all the quilts in there. Yeah. Well, I really hope you enjoyed today. I want to see you in Quilt Club Week and Premium Club, of course, obviously. But if not, we'll see you in our public webinars just the next time we do. Sign up for our emails so you don't miss anything. And we're going to go pack and get
Yep.
ready to go
Get
to
ready to
retreat.
go.
We'll head out in the morning. We've got all of the filming done for Kay and Kathy.
Yep.
And then I'll finish up my filming through the summer, and then we have another teacher that will concentrate on her filming here in May and so on.
Right. Right. We
And,
got all the shipping done, or so
Yeah,
far
we're
at
caught
this
up with the
point,
shipping, yeah.
caught
Yeah.
up with the shipping.
So Saturday we had our Firefly class, and so of course a lot of orders come in after that. So we literally burned the midnight
We
oil.
did.
It was
She worked us till
Did-
10 o'clock last
yeah.
night.
Finally, Kathy just walks out the door.
yeah, I'm done.
She looked, no more papers on the counter. She's like, "Okay, I'm out of
I'm
here.
done."
I'm cooked," or something like that. You said, "I'm cooked." Yeah. But we have a great time. We're inviting you to come and be our quilting buddy and our friend and
Yep.
come have a good time with us. And we're not just here during a limited time. We're here for you all the time, 24/7, 365 days a year, no matter where you live on this earth. You can
Right.
contact us and help us. You can also use that same number. Quilting Never Sleeps, 817-713-2879. You can also use that same phone number on the WhatsApp if you're out of the United States and want to text us something, and then I can send you a video. The reason why I love the text is because I can actually do a video and send it
And
to
Send
you.
it back to
And,
her. Yeah.
and we
yeah.
can do photos back
And you
and
have,
forth.
you do that.
And
You
you
just,
do.
if somebody's got a problem and you can video it, that's
Yeah.
great.
Sometimes
Who
I get
does
to
that?
you right away.
And,
And
sometimes it
sometimes
depends
it-
on what
yeah.
you're
Yeah, what
doing.
you're doing.
It's not my phone that I keep with me. It's literally the red quilt phone. It's the red hotline.
Red hotline.
And it stays on my desk.
Oh, okay.
And so usually I check it of a morning and at night.
night.
But if I'm away or
Yeah.
different things,
You don't
like
take
out
the-
here shipping, I didn't check it last night because
Oh,
we
okay.
were out here shipping till
Yes.
10
till
o'clock.
late. Even the bugs had gone to bed.
Really?
Mhm.
There were not any bugs out when we left because they had already
went
gone
to
to
bed.
bed.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Steve. Last chance. Any questions? Nope. Okay. I'm so glad you joined us today. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you laughed a little bit, had a good time. Anytime Kay and Kathy's around, it's a fun, laughing, good time. I always have a good time with them. But come and join us, and we won't be able to film at retreat because the Wi-Fi is not great, but we are going to film our stuff, and at some point in time, we'll have that for our club members somehow, somewhere. I'm not sure how we'll use those yet, but you will get to see what we did at retreat. So mark it on your calendar next year, April 17 to 21, and come join us in Quilt Club Week and Premium Club, and we'll see you down that patchwork path.